show is called Conversation with the CEO. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our next edition of none other than Conversation with the CEO. We're excited to have this particular CEO. I'm just going to say this. The company is starting to get on the radar for a lot of people. They're believing in this, and it's in the sector of biotechnology. So that's one of those particular sectors that, you know, it can surprise you sometimes. But they're in biotech. They specialize in acquisition, licensing, and commercialization of pharmaceutical products and technologies. He is the CEO of Nutra Pharma, and I'm excited to get him on the program here today. His name is Rik Deitsch. I hope I got that right.
Yes. Rik Deitsch. Yes, thank you.
Rik Deitsch. Okay.
Yeah.
Rik Deitsch. Hey, man, it's good to have you here with us. And a lot of people want to hear from you, man. It's your company's been around for a while. You're going through some cleaning up and getting things right. Let me make this clear. Did the SEC say to all the companies in over the counter, if they don't get it together, we're going to suspend you? Is that something that's out there? Because I want to get a clear understanding on that, because I've been noticing a lot of companies been trying to get things together.
Yeah, well, certainly the SEC is trying to clean up the bulletin board market, the OTC, what used to be the bulletin board market, which is now just the OTC and pink sheet market. Mostly they're trying to clear out the shells because they hate this concept of reversing into a shell. And so they're going after companies that are defunct and still trading, companies that are delinquent, they're reporting and still trading. And so, yes, we are delinquent in our reporting, but there's a reason for that. And that goes back to the fact that we are fighting an SEC lawsuit. In September of 2018, the SEC sued us, and we are fighting that. Believe that their charges are without merit. It is a civil lawsuit, really just seeking some sort of cash settlement from us. We've already received a partial dismissal from the lawsuit, but we are continuing to defend ourselves and fight. But in April of 2019, we had to make a strategic financial decision with the resources we had as to whether we were going to continue to fight the SEC or we were going to file our financials. And we made the decision to fight the good fight. And so we continued to fight the SEC and went delinquent and didn't file our 2018 10K. But as things have improved, and sales are starting to go up and JV partners are coming forward and our entire business plan is actualizing, we're now in a much better position. We've re-engaged our auditors, re-engaged our accounting and legal, and we have now started the process of getting current with our financials. We've already filed now our 2018 10K in our first quarter of 2019, and working diligently to get everything else filed as soon as possible.
Okay, that sounds good. So you basically just made a decision, and on the back end, it kind of backfired, sort of, but you're getting it together now. So civil lawsuits happen all the time, right?
Yes.
What do they really mean to an investor? Like, say someone invests in your company, and 2 weeks from now, they didn't know you had a civil lawsuit, but now someone sends them a message and says, "Hey, this guy's being sued. Rik Deitsch is being sued." How should they respond to something like that?
Well, it depends how savvy you are as an investor, even as a business person. The fact is, people can sue for anything. I've been sued for ridiculous things over the years. I've had very successful products, very successful companies in the past. And a lot of times, simply being successful puts a target on your back. And people have sued me for all sorts of things. One guy once sued me for patent infringement for something I had nothing to do with whatsoever. These things happen. You get sued because people think that, well, if you have money, you're just going to settle. And so let's sue and get a quick settlement. And that happens. Now, in the cases right now, we have a civil lawsuit with the SEC, and the SEC is really just seeking monetary damages and changes in management, which we're fighting. We believe we have strong defenses in that case. But in no way, shape, or form is the SEC seeking to shut us down. This lawsuit was filed in September 2018. It's 2.5 years later. When they sued us, we lost 98% of our share value. The stock collapsed because people were afraid, and rightly so. But if they really read between the lines and see what's going on, this is really a civil lawsuit, and they're seeking some sort of monetary damage, and they're also looking for changes in management. We don't believe there's an issue there. We're fighting it, moving forward, but that's kind of baked into the stock price already. And we've seen a huge rebound just since October of this last year. We're already up 2,700%. We're up 27 times where we were 2.5 months ago.
Now you mentioned that you were being sued for a patent, right? So how many actual patents do you have right now of any of the products that you're working on, that you're putting out?
Well, Nutra Pharma has 21 patents. A lot of these are patents that kind of are background patents to the main patents. So of our 21 patents, 3 are key patents that were issued in the last 8 years. And we have 7 patents now in application. So we're expanding our patent portfolio. The 3 key patents cover our drugs and the concept of our drugs. One is for pain, using cobra venom peptides to treat pain. One is for using these peptides, these proteins, to treat autoimmune diseases, and that includes things like multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis. And the third one is using these same peptides to treat viruses, and we focused on HIV and herpes.
HIV and herpes. Let me ask you this. How did I hear you used to be in radio. You used to do that. Is that right?
No, I'm a biochemist, but I've been an expert witness, a professional expert witness. I've written 2 books. And after I wrote my last book, I went on a few radio shows and people liked me. So I became, just an expert witness. People call me for anything. In fact, when the Ebola scare came out, people called me as an expert witness. I'm certainly not an expert on Marburg type viruses and Ebola, but I know enough that I could tell people what it is and what it does and how it's treated and what the danger is. So I've been in hundreds of radio shows.
Wow. So you just so familiar with a lot. So let me ask you this. Why do you love this company so much? And how much of your own personal goods have you invested in this? And, you being who you are, you could have gotten paid quite a bit of money just being on radio shows across the country and being an expert witness, right? That's true, right? And you take on that burden of being a CEO, that can be kind of tough. What's got you so excited? And have you put a lot of your own money in this?
Yeah. So, my wife tells me constantly that I'd be in much better position if I walked away from Nutra Pharma and did everything else I do, but when I first started working on the concepts of Nutra Pharma, these venom-based drugs, the technology goes back to the 1930s. And the guy that originally created what became our multiple sclerosis drug was a guy named Dr. Murray Saunders, who worked for Army Research in the 1930s. And he was treating post-polio patients that had these neurologic deficits. And they were walking for the first time in years. They were getting out of wheelchairs. And he did that same research right through the 70s and 80s. That's the research that we purchased, all the intellectual property, all the clinical research. If you look at just our MS drug, we've had over 300 patients on that drug. There's 4 million MS patients in the world that are suffering now. And they're suffering really because they don't have a drug like ours, which is the first drug ever studied in MS that seems to halt the forward progression of the disease and reverse symptoms over time. And we've proven that now in over 300 patients in open label studies. And we're endeavoring this year to get into our phase 2 clinical study. We're working with JV partners now. And that's really where I am. We have these incredible drugs that help so many people. And my goal is to get these into the hands of the people that need them most. And my point is, if we fail at that, it's not going to be for a lack of trying. Okay. And yes, I put every penny I've ever made basically in the last 20 years into this company. I put more than $4 million of my own money into this. And I'm not a wealthy guy. I've just been very lucky I've written 2 books. I've created products that sold very well as dietary supplements. And all that money that I've made in those other places, I've just recycled back into Nutra Pharma. And I stopped taking a salary. I stopped taking a salary in 2011. I've not taken a salary in 10 years.
Okay, in 10 years. So what would you say to someone who said, this guy is crazy, he's nuts? I mean, he's out there.
Well, I get a mixed bag. Half the people say you're crazy. If you're not making money on this, you always use other people's money to make money. Okay, so you're crazy putting your own money in. And then some people see me as dedicated, and that's what I believe I am. I believe these drugs need to get into the hands of the patients by whatever means necessary. The patients are going to be life-changing. If you've met someone with MS, if you met someone even with herpes or HIV and see what our drugs can actually do, chronic pain or over-the-counter products for chronic pain are life-changing. Our last animal model, we outperform morphine. And if we could actually have a product that would get into the hands of people that would change their lives, and we've worked with hundreds of veterans and at VA centers and veteran charities. We've changed their lives. And if we weren't here doing that, that wouldn't happen. Okay, so my dedication is to make sure that we can get these products in the hands of the people that need them most. And that's it. And my goal is, if we do that, then sales will happen and the products will take off and the stock will benefit because of it, and all of our stakeholders will benefit.
Where are some of your products available right now? So if I wanted to go get your product right now, where would I go?
Yeah, so
especially if I wanted for pain.
Okay, so if you look at our company as a whole, we're both ethical drugs and OTC drugs. So the products I'm talking about now are the OTC, over-the-counter drugs. And we do have a line of products called Niloxin. And I have samples here for you. So this is Niloxin oral spray. So this is an orange flavored oral spray. You spray it in your mouth 3 times a day, and it goes all over your body, and it blocks pain and inflammation without side effect. Okay,
really?
So
no addiction? No addiction at all?
Narcotic, non-addictive, doesn't cause any cognitive decline. It basically works because the peptides from cobra venom block the pain signals. And in that rat model I mentioned earlier, it showed that we actually blocked the signals of the parafascicular nucleus in the brain, the part of the brain that processes pain. And so pain goes away, and it's also anti-inflammatory, so inflammation goes away. So this becomes a life-changing product. Now, it does take 5 to 7 days to really kick in if you have chronic pain, but that's why I say you got to use it a few weeks. And I'm a good example. I have something called a syringomyelia, a syrinx in my back. It's like a gap in my spine. And I had chronic pain for many years. And I never took opiates because I think for a living. I didn't want to do anything that changed the way I thought. But I did chronically take over-the-counter products, and I'd switch off between acetaminophen, ibuprofen, naproxen, pretty much anything I could get my hands on, until we came out with our first pain product. And that's all I've taken since. And it's been life-changing for me. You know, this is all I need, and I'm pain-free.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's all I take. Now, we also have topical gel in an easy squeeze and a roll-on. And the topical gel is great because wherever you roll it, it stops pain within 20 minutes. So I've actually done meetings where I've passed out samples at the beginning of the meeting, introduced myself, started answering questions, and then about 20 minutes in, I said, by the way, who's tried this product? And people start going like this, like their hands and waving their arms around. It becomes like a tit revival meeting. They start jumping up and down. How pain-free they are. And there's no heat, no cold, no smell. All it does is these proteins go in and block pain and inflammation.
Wow. Well, how did you get so creative to come up with something like that? It seems to me, now I live in Sarasota, Florida, right? We got hit hard here with the addiction to pain medicines. Okay. I mean, it ripped it up here. So that's exciting to hear about. And so how did you come up with the concept of something that's non-addictive? I mean, that seems almost unbelievable to a certain degree.
Here's what's the weird thing is that we've known that cobra venom is beneficial in medicine for hundreds of years. I actually wrote an article years ago that was published in Reptile Magazine that talks about the history of the use of cobra venom that goes back to the ancient Greeks. You know, what happened though over the years is it got a bad name because they became snake oil salesmen, you know, because they put snake oil in it and it's good for everything. But those were, you know, obviously charlatans. But there's a reason for that, because certain peptides, small proteins from venom of different snakes, actually venom of different animals, do all sorts of things. And the venom we use happens to be naturally anti-inflammatory and analgesic. It's good for pain, because when that cobra bites you, he doesn't want you upset and in pain. He wants you nice and relaxed, and you know, because he's going to eat you. You know, the whole idea. Nature created this venom to exactly do what we want it to do, and we have a 1/10,000th solution of the cobra venom, so it's certainly non-toxic. In fact, we've given volunteers for safety studies the equivalent of a 30-month dose without side effect. So what would be the equivalent of 30 bottles? So we know it's safe, it's non-toxic, and it's incredibly effective.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You got a lot of great products. Clearly, people who are going through something like this would want to get it. How soon is it before you guys get to a point where you're making a profit, you're making profits, and you're making great partnerships, and possibly even uplisting from the OTC? Is that even a consideration?
Okay. Yeah, so it's a very wide-ranging separate question. So we have been profitable in the past. We launched our very first product, Cobrox, in 2009. We did over 1.5 million in sales over 3 quarters. We had an outside distributor that was doing that, and we had no control over it. When the outside distributor basically failed for having nothing to do with us, everything collapsed after that. And we've had a series of bad distributors. So it was only about 2 years ago that we took everything in-house ourselves. And now we're completely responsible for our fate. And what we've done is we've created a great presence in Amazon. And we're seeing Amazon sales go up month over month. And we not only have the naloxone, but we launched last year, we launched equine pain away for horses.
Wow.
We have pet pain away for dogs and cats. I really believe this could be our
That's got to be a favorite.
I tell you, first of all, it's barbecue chicken flavor. It's delicious. Dogs and cats love it. And whereas there's so many choices for products for human pain, there's nothing for dogs and cats. They give them Cosequin or something, but that takes months and months and months to work. Or they give them over-the-counter like Tramadol or Demerol, which are opiates, which just make them go to sleep. Or NSAIDs that cause GI distress, vomiting, diarrhea, all sorts of side effects. It's chicken flavored. They take it, they love it. And you give a dog or a cat that's limping around the house, you give them this, within 24 hours, you're running around like a puppy or a kitten. It's really, people call me crying because of how it's affected their pets. So we have this. And then just last month, we announced that we're really pushing forward luxury feet. This is for pain and feet, especially women's feet. And it's really timely because as we come out of this COVID pandemic, this COVID crisis, there's women that haven't worn high heels in a year. And now their feet are killing them because they're putting shoes on for the first time in a year. So these are really a timely product. So the fact is we are growing sales with all of these products. We do believe that we have a really short route to roll into retail. So we expect this year to roll into retail stores. Currently, we're selling online and at some small chain pharmacies and doctors' offices. But we do believe that this year we'll have a broad retail rollout, which we're working on right now. And yes, with the money that's coming in with the joint venture partners, it is our goal to basically get the stock in a position, get current. And yes, we'd love to do an uplisting. That would be our goal.
Let me ask you something. Does that really matter though? So does uplisting really matter? Because you got some major companies that are over the counters. You got big companies that are, but sometimes people, why does that matter so much? Whether you're on NASDAQ or you're on OTC,
there's a couple things that come into play. One is simply just valuation. You can get much higher valuations in a big board than you can on the bulletin board. Although I can tell you there's some crazy valuations now on the bulletin board, on the OTC. Some ridiculous valuations that aren't even based in reality. We are certainly still undervalued. Even with the comeback that we've had over the last 4 months, we're still highly undervalued just based on our intellectual property. So the fact is you get a lot more respect and a lot higher valuation when you uplist to the bigger boards. And then additionally, there are funds, billions, trillions of dollars that are chartered. They're unable to invest in companies unless they're listed on a major exchange. And so if you really want to get that sort of exposure, you need to be on a major exchange.
Okay. Now, for someone who's a new investor who saw your video, and the video was awesome, by the way. There's a video of your company and the location, and you look at that video. Now, it's a new investor. They're going, "Wow, that's awesome. I want in." And they go and they say, "Wait a minute, it's under a penny. This can't be real. How is this looking so great and all this going on, and it's still worth just under a penny?" For a new investor, they don't know how to digest that. What would you say to them?
Well, I quote Rothschild, who said, "Always buy when there's blood in the streets." Okay. So in essence, We got kicked. We got kicked over and over and over again. We got kicked by poor distributors, and we have poor distributor agreements. We got kicked by lawsuits from former employees. And then lastly, we got we got first the SEC lawsuit, which we're continuing to fight. We lost 98% of our share value from that. And then we also got an FDA warning letter about some marketing material that was on our website. We responded to that. We had no problem with that. That was handled. Yet it's still out there that we got this FDA warning letter. And so we got kicked over and over and over again, which devalued the company. We've lost a lot of market value. We're coming back, and we're back strong. We're much higher than we were off our lows, but we're still highly undervalued. The stock should be much, much, much higher. And then if you think about just our multiple sclerosis drug, we have orphan designation for MS drug, which allows for a fast route to phase 2, a fast route to approval. And in the world of multiple sclerosis, there is no innovation. There is none. MS is basically an autoimmune disease, and it's treated by turning off the immune system. And so you have all these side effects, and the drugs are measuring their ability to slow down the forward progression. We have, as far as I know, the only drug in history that seems to stop the forward progression and reverse symptoms over time. And we've seen that now with over 300 patients in open label trials. We need to prove that in controlled phase 2 trials, which is what we want to do now. But if we do that, just think what happens. If you look at the last couple of deals in MS, I mean, just a few years ago, Celgene bought Receptos. Receptos had a drug in phase 3 clinical studies, which was basically a knockoff of an existing drug, an S1P inhibitor, basically an immune system suppressant. And Celgene paid $7.2 billion for that company to get that drug. Okay.
Wow.
So if we're able to move into a phase 2 study, there could, in fact, be a bidding war on our drug, and we'd be looking at several partners to see what comes next. And that's just one of our drugs in our portfolio. So there's a lot happening here that could turn us into a major biotech company. And I do remind people, if you just look at history, Amgen today is the world's largest biotechnology company. With I can't even tell you what they're worth, over $100 billion, certainly. They're the world's largest biotechnology company. In 1986, they were a penny a share. Okay, so This happens. It has happened before. They're not the only company I've seen go from where we are to being a real company. There's always risk involved, but we have some really strong intellectual property, some really strong background to our products. We have OTC products that we're selling. We have revenues. There's literally thousands of biotech companies out there that are waiting for their big drug to be approved and have no revenues at all. So we've actually
you actually have some revenue.
We split the difference. We have product to sell to try to pay the bills while we're working on the big stuff. So there's lots of reasons to invest in Nutra Pharma.
Let me ask you this. Has the pandemic, COVID, what has it done for you as a business? Has it made it better, or has it challenged? I mean, because some people have come out big winners from this and some have come out big losers. How has it impacted you?
It started rough. It started very rough. Okay. Certainly we were already being kicked when we were down with the lawsuits and things like that. But one of the first things that happened is that we couldn't get any products made. Every one of our contract manufacturers had retooled to make hand sanitizer. Everybody was making hand sanitizer.
Wow.
So we couldn't get our products made. And at first it was first annoying and then tragic. And then it forced us to make some hard decisions. But one of the hard decisions was bringing manufacturing in-house. And that wound up to be amazing. So we've actually retooled our facility, changed our laboratory completely. We've come in with new quality control and quality assurance to be a fully functional GMP facility. But now it's great because we have complete control over the process. And the cost savings are phenomenal, so we're making a lot more. Our margins are much better. We have control over everything. We can actually make smaller batches. If we want to launch additional products, it becomes a much tighter timeline. Normally, when you want to launch a new product, even in the OTC space, you're talking 16 to 30 weeks to launch a new product. We can do it in a couple of weeks because we're doing it all in-house. And so awesome. It actually wound up to be a blessing in disguise for us.
That is awesome. So what's coming? What's the big thing that you got coming up that people should be super excited about? Everybody wants to know it. I'm sure they're sitting at the edge of their seat right now like, tell us what you're about to do. I want to hear the good news. What are you going to do?
there's so many different levels. So financially, we're dedicated to transparency. We're working with our auditors to bring all of our filings current. And when that happens, our stock is to be much more available for everyone to trade. So that helps everyone on the trading side. On our OTC side, like I said, we've launched Luxury Feet, our newest product, which we think is going to be really big, especially post-COVID. But we are on a campaign now to really get our sales up this year and roll into retail. So we do believe there'll be a large retail rollout later this year, which is great for revenues and great for the OTC products. But the biggest thing has to be the MS drug. We have orphan designation, the MS drug. We're putting together trials, and we do expect to be recruiting in trials later this year. It is our goal. And of course, we didn't have a safe harbor statement at the beginning of this. So what I'm saying is what our goals are today, but things may change. But we are working with JV partners right now. We have started the process to start recruiting into phase 2 trials. And it is our expectation that later this year, we will have patients on our MS drug in phase 2. And we certainly believe that we'll see the same sort of data we saw in our animal models, we'll see in people, and the same sort of effects we saw in our open label studies, we'll see in our closed placebo-controlled studies. And we certainly expect to generate the sort of data that will attract larger partners. So it could be really conceivable in the next 12 to 24 months that we're talking to one of the large biotech or biopharma companies about potentially licensing our MS drug.
Okay, awesome. Now, I always like to ask questions for young people who are aspiring to be CEOs. What would you say to those young people that say, hey, I want to run a company too. I want to be the next big biotechnology company. What would you tell them? How would you set them up the right way?
I don't know. I'm not a normal CEO like, I'm a biochemist. I call myself the accidental businessman. I'm a biochemist that I have a background in drug discovery and drug development. I have a background in development of dietary supplements and clinical studies. And I had the idea for this company that we've just grown over time. And so I say the best thing in the world is just do what you love to do and do it to the best of your ability. That's it. Everything else falls into place. And if you want to be that CEO, if you're that entrepreneurial and it's your idea, keep the idea, stick with it, and don't give up, basically no matter what, okay? Because I tell you, over the years, there have been many, many, many times I could have thrown in the towel. And I chose not to because I didn't think that was an option. I told you, we need to get these products in the hands of the people that need it most. And it's not going to be, if we fail, it's not going to be for lack of trying. We're going to give it every possible ounce of courage, ounce of everything that we have to be able to get these products to market and into the people that need them.
It's really nice to hear you talk like that because a lot of times, people, we wonder, are they in it for the money or are they in it for the love of making a change in people's lives? And you seem to be that. You care about making that change in people's lives. And I commend you because, we all know it's tough being a CEO, man. That's not something that everybody can handle. And here you are, not coming through a lawsuit, dealing with that currently, and you're still pushing. And not only are you pushing, but you're a company that's making some money in the process. So that's incredible.
I'm a shareholder too. So when people get upset out there and they see the stock going down or stock going up, either way, I'm just as happy when the stock goes up as everybody else because I'm a shareholder just like everyone else. And the great majority of my stock, I paid full price for. So most of the shares I have through conversion of debt with the company, money that I put into the company. I paid for my shares. And so I bleed with my shareholders, and I believe in the future. And I said, I'm all in when it comes to this.
Hey, Rik, I appreciate you for your time, man. Listen, tell your family I said hello and appreciate you for hanging out with us here on Conversations with the CEO. And we're going to be looking for new things, and we'll talk to you again. How about we talk once the lawsuit is over, and we talk again, or whenever you want to do it. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot happening. So if you just want to, I always tell people, even if they don't want to invest, if you don't want to play ball, put them in the bleachers. Okay. Yeah. So go to our website, nutrapharma.com, click on investor relations and sign up for e-alerts and learn. We'll get press releases, coupons, all things about the company. Learn about the company because over time, you're going to want to play ball. we're a great company with great products. We're doing so much over the next 12 to 18 months. We're going to have a lot to talk about, and I'd love to come back in, Tony. Thank you.
Hey, I need to get some of that pain medicine over in my part of town. Okay, I got some friends, brother. They always in pain. You hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we appreciate everyone. We've got another edition coming up next week, and we appreciate them. Don't forget, he's the CEO of Nutra Pharma, and it's one of those companies that's on the radar for a lot of people. They believe in this company.